시청자 여러분 안녕하십니까? 워싱턴 무역관 심재원입니다. 코트라의 인베스트 코리아는 우리나라의 투자 환경을 해외에 홍보하고 정부가 수립한 외국인 투자 관련 정책을 수행하며 외국기업 유치와 성공적인 정착을 지원하는 국가 투자유치 기관입니다. 그렇다면 미국의 투자유치는 어떤 기관이 담당하고 있을까요? 바로 SelectUSA입니다. 오늘은 SelectUSA의 Jasjit Singh 대표님을 만나 미국의 투자유치 현황과 우리기업의 대미 진출 유망 분야에 대해 이야기해 보겠습니다.
Good afternoon, Mr. Singh. We appreciate your coming over in your busy schedule, and I would like to start by personally thanking you for participating in our KOTRA TV channel. Our Korean SME audience is keen to learn more about the opportunities and resources that SelectUSA offers for their business ventures in the United States. For those who may not be familiar, could you please provide a brief overview of SelectUSA and its core functions?
Sure. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Jaewon, for this opportunity to speak with Korean investors. Obviously, a very important market for us. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. Investment promotion agencies like yours play a very vital role in bringing investors to the United States. So I wanted to thank you for that important work. I also want to thank the entire KOTRA team for all the collaborative work that you do with SelectUSA. I think the friendship is so excellent and is really a nice thing to see that's been growing, and I'm looking forward to strengthening that well beyond 2025. So in terms of SelectUSA, specifically, we are the investment promotion agency of the United States government. We're in the Department of Commerce, and we're located in the International Trade Administration within global markets. So we have, through that, access to our consulates and our embassies around the world. And we serve two main clients. We serve international investors from all the key markets, and we serve all of our economic development organizations, so like all our states and territories as they are trying to attract inbound investment. So we have a lot of great programs at SelectUSA that support international investors. I'll just highlight a couple of them. The first is the Interagency Working Group. So we work with a lot of our federal partners to support international investors as they seek to understand the different regulatory environments and also the different incentives that different bureaus or departments are putting out. As I said, we work closely with our economic development organizations, and I was very intrigued. I just got back from a trip to Asia recently, and I got to see some of the vibrancy of the market, some of the entrepreneurial spirit, and it was really remarkable. I'm just so excited coming back from that trip to ensure that more investors, particularly from Korea, are finding an easy path to come to the United States.
Thank you. What are the latest trends in foreign investments in the United States, and which sectors are seeing the most growth? What sectors do you believe offer the most promising investment opportunities for U.S. companies in Korea and vice versa?
Great question. So, supply chains have been a focus for obviously the U.S. government and SelectUSA for the past several years. In particular, we're interested in ensuring that the United States has a secure, a resilient, and a protected and a revitalized supply chain in many of the key areas. I would encourage your viewers to go to a website, invest.gov, and this is where you can see the trends of the different sectors that are important to the United States, and that's probably the best rather than kind of going into different specifics here. I would encourage you to go there for like the comprehensive list. I will highlight though, in just the last week or so, you might have seen the news out of the International Monetary Fund. The IMF recently put out their statement about how the United States, how strong it has rebounded post-COVID, especially vis-a-vis the other economies. So it is really a wonderful time to be investing in the United States.
Has the U.S. economic climate affected foreign investments? And if so, what measures are being taken to encourage more investments? Could you also provide us with relevant data for 2023 to 2024?
Yeah, great question. So the United States has an open investment policy, long-standing open investment policy, which essentially encourages investment from, throughout the world. Especially over the last few years, you've probably seen the industrial policy of the United States around the Chips and Science Act, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the Inflation Reduction Act. These are historic investments into revitalizing the semiconductor space, into making big investments into green technologies, advanced batteries, solar manufacturing, etc. And with the bipartisan infrastructure law, investing into the core, into the backbone of what the United States is. So it's really an exciting time to be investing in the United States. Just to put a finer point on that, in the entire history of SelectUSA, $250 billion of investment has come in the about 12, 13 years of SelectUSA's existence. And that has supported 230,000 jobs across the United States, all the states and territories. Out of that 250 billion, 70%, nearly 70%, I think it was 68%, has come in just the last 3.5 years. So it is really a remarkable time, I think, for investors who are considering the United States to get in and take the steps necessary to make it happen.
We've discussed some broader aspects of investing in the US, but I'd like to delve deeper into specifics for our Korean SMEs audience. What are the key benefits for Korean SMEs looking to invest in the US market? What advice would you give to Korean SMEs considering entering the US market for the first time? And how does SelectUSA support SMEs entering the US market?
Great question. And I think the U.S. offers a lot of benefits to many investors. Some investors come to the United States for a very stable regulatory environment. Some come for the abundant natural resources. Some come for the low electricity rates. Whatever reason an investor is coming to the United States, SelectUSA seeks to be kind of that source of good, actionable information to help them make decisions to quickly and efficiently move through their pipeline. I would recommend any of your listeners to consider coming to the SelectUSA Investment Summit, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but it is from May 11th to the 14th, and that is the big red carpet kind of event, open house you can say, for the US government to invite investors. I would also encourage you to work with the SelectUSA team if you are on the sidelines wondering where you should invest. It's a big country. Each state and territory has its unique advantages, and sometimes that can be daunting. We understand that, and that's exactly why our research team stands ready to support international investors as they're considering making their decisions. They can get a report which helps to understand what are the different industry clusters, what are the different incentives, what's the regulatory framework in a certain area versus another. And those decisions ultimately can lead a company to make the right decision. So we would love to support you through that. Come to the summit and use SelectUSA for our data reports.
Okay. And the last question, could you discuss any recent success stories of Korean SMEs that have expanded their operations to the US with SelectUSA's assistance?
Absolutely, and I think if you've seen the media over the last year, 2 years, you've certainly seen some very big announcements, and we're so proud of those. But we really value business confidentiality is our core at SelectUSA. So we won't talk about any of those that haven't been cleared for public use. But I'll just mention the quick story of a Korean fashion company called Hansei, which got engaged with SelectUSA just a couple of years ago. They came to the SelectUSA Investment Summit that I referenced earlier. They connected with us to understand from a research perspective where they should land in the United States, and our team was able to connect them with a state, and from that they were able to make an announcement which we were all very proud of. I would also reflect on the Chips and Science Act for a minute, if that's okay. The Chips and Science Act, as I mentioned, is this historic investment into revitalizing semiconductor manufacturing and research in the United States. And I know many Korean companies have taken advantage of it. I would encourage them to continue to be involved. This is a piece of legislation which is not just for big companies. That is a little bit of a misconception. It's for all size companies. So I encourage Korean investors of all sizes who are in the semiconductor space to consider the Chips and Science Act. And I would also flag for you that there has been a significant amount of investment already in the critical semiconductor space and the advanced battery space. And the statistic I like to give is that $50 billion in Korean investment has already come in. And that's just a remarkable testament to, I think, the confidence and the ties between, the economic ties between the countries. So the last thing I would just like to showcase on this is that we have a wonderful, wonderful team in Korea itself, in Seoul. And our commercial service team works so hard to connect with investors and provide them great information. They also do a series of events. So they will be in Semicon in February, and they will be at the Inner Battery show in early March. And so we encourage your Korean investors to also be connected with the in-country resources that they have.
Okay, thank you. Is there any last comment that you want to make?
I would just say that the SelectUSA Investment Summit is probably the best place that investors can come. Whether they're early in their journey and they need to know how do I open a bank account in the United States, how do I get the incorporation done, how do I hire a workforce, all the basics, or I need to meet these certain states, or I want to make an announcement about I have a new deal. Whether you're in the beginning of your journey or at the end, we would love to welcome you to the SelectUSA Investment Summit, and that date again is May 11th to the 14th, 2025, and that's at National Harbor, just outside of Washington D.C. Registration is open, so you can go to the SelectUSA website and register today.
Great, I'm excited.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Singh, for sharing your valuable insights with us today. We truly appreciate your time and expertise. Your perspectives will tremendously be beneficial for our Korean SME audience. We look forward to continuing our discussions in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.